Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome, everybody, to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Thursday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another educational Thursday where we intentionally make sure we get the right folks to come on here and give information and educate our community about topics and things that sometimes our community just don't get access to for whatever reason. But we're going to make sure that you get that information tonight. We have a phenomenal guest that is going to come on tonight. Dr. Webb is going to educate our community, talk about money. Y'all know in the Black community, sometimes that's a hard conversation to have. But again, we know financial wellness is what we need. We're trying to build wealth. We're trying to build ownership. We're trying to build an ecosystem that we can really impact each other and also leave generational wealth to our families. We have that knowledge now. We have somebody that's going to give you that. So we should not suffer anymore without having the financial wellness, the life insurance, the investments, everything. We should be protected now. We got some people that's going to bring you that information. We're going to continue to do our part here at both sides of the conversation to make sure that you get that information here on our Educational Thursdays. And it is very, very, very powerful stuff. So take notes, sit back, relax. I know it's Thursday night football. I'm competing with my football fans, but again, I don't care about football. They got their money, okay? I'm trying to make sure my people in the community get this information so that you can build financial wealth and do the things that you need to do. With that being said, before I jump into my co-host and my announcements, one thing I just want to reiterate to our community, okay? Because I've been getting emails and people been reaching out to me. I just want folks to just listen, okay, for 1 second, because I know we got a lot of people joining our Facebook group, our social media handles. Y'all just heard Jada read the community announcements to our allies, okay? When you come into our space, we're not going to police tone our people, okay? So I just want to let my allies know, okay? We love everybody, but this is a Black platform. It's for Black folks. It's for us to come and talk our truth and have our understanding of things and hash it out the way we hash it out. So I'm not going to allow folks to come in and police tone our community. Okay, we set up these spaces to have both sides of the conversation. So you don't have to agree. You could take your perspective. If you can't get your answer that you want, move on. There's a lot of posts. There's a lot of things happening in our Facebook group. Scroll down to the next thing. But again, I'm not going to allow folks to come into our group and try to police tone our folks, our communication, and the way we deal with things. Okay, this is a healing platform. This is a platform that we can hear our voices and uplift what we're dealing with. So maybe you don't understand the conditions of the community. You might not understand the colorfulness of conversation. You might not understand the passion that comes when you are in our community, but we're going to allow you But again, we don't want you to come in and police tone our community, okay? This is our platform. We use it for our community so that they can make sure that they get what they need to get off their chest, okay? Is to have open dialogue. We don't have to agree with everything. I'm not going to kick people out of my group because they're Republicans and you're Democrat. The whole purpose is to have conversation, help educate each other, okay? Make sure that we get our voices heard, right? We don't have to agree, but at least we have a safe space where we can talk about the things that we feel is important to us or impact us in our life. Okay, so again, community, show some respect when you in our social media handles. I don't care which one you own, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you follow, TikTok, have that respect, have that humility and compassion. All we're trying to do is have real conversation, authentic from the people. When we talk about changing the narrative, we're changing the narrative from the voices of the people in our community. We are not commercial media, okay? We're not Fox News. We are not CNN, okay? We are for the people. We're going to listen to the people to tell their experience to the community, what they're feeling, what they're going through in depth, okay? Right there, you get it right, groundbreaking. So that's what this is all about. I know we got a lot of new followers, a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. Again, we'll be there. Our moderators are in there moderating the room. Again, we just asked this because we don't want to remove people. You know, letting people amplify their voice doesn't mean removing them. But again, if you're trying to police tone our community or you're trying to disrespect the people that's in our community, we're going to remove you, okay? So I'm just giving that out to community so that it is heard. You guys know we are watching, okay? We get the messages when there's issues, and we're going to address it, okay? But again, it's about healing. It's about being open, being vulnerable, and we don't want to be shaming people. We want people to be able to tell their truth, and let's support them and uplift them so that we can change that narrative in our community. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our announcements. Again, I'm running late today. I was in a leadership conference today, so I'm not in the studio, so I'm at another location. My Wi-Fi is not great, but we'll get through this show tonight because that's what we do. We show up, we make a way out of no way, and that's what we're going to do tonight, okay? But first, I want to just give a huge shout out, okay, to the Bayview YMCA, to the Success Center, to all of the amazing folks that continue to impact community. Shout out to the Dreamkeeper Initiative, to all of the amazing folks at the Human Rights Commission that are doing work to make sure that our community, okay, gets information, get the education, get the services, and have the events. They are doing some phenomenal job. Today's leadership meeting is building the next generation of leaders, nonprofit leaders, community leaders, business owners, giving them the wealth of information that is needed to run and stabilize businesses. So great job for the DKI team and to the Success Center and to the Bayview Y for letting us hold space there and just being those leaders. So shout out to the executive director, Tasim Parker, because it's about solidarity. It's about working together. When we talk about changing the narrative, we're trying to show people, yes, Black folks do work together. Different organizations can come together and work together to have true impact in our community. And that's what we're showing y'all. So just shout out to those two organizations coming together, working together to make sure that our community is impacted. And that's what it's really all about at the end of the day. Too many times, the rumors, the lies is Black folks can't work together. Black organizations can't work together. We can do it. It takes all of us one day at a time, working with each other and just showing that. And that's what we're going to keep doing. And we're going to keep highlighting it. So shout out to them and all of the amazing work that they're doing. Shout out to Liz Jackson. She is a phenomenal, phenomenal queen that is making sure Black folks across this Bay Area are impacted. So shout out to her and all the work that her and her team is doing to impact community. With that being said, my co-host is here, okay? She's busy, y'all. I know y'all like, where's her face at? She was here the other night. She's going to be reading our events tonight, but she's taking care of business. We all moving around. Both sides of the conversation. Y'all know we got stuff going on, people all over the place, but we still show up to make sure our platform is running and we making sure that you good people and like to watch what we're doing is getting the information and all that. So with that being said, Ayana, you want to say hi to people and let them know that you're really there and it's just not a screen?
Hello, community. Happy Thursday. It's such a blessing and honor to be here on another amazing educational Thursday. And thanks again, John, for always having me.
No problem. Glad to see you here tonight. And I know community's been asking, where's Pretty Tony? That's my co-host. She is still recovering. Community, continue to pray for her. And we're going to make sure that her speedy recovery, she gets back soon. I checked in on her. She's doing good. She's fighting every day, community. But she's going to take some time. And when she come back, she's going to light it up because she's feeling good and she's energized and she's ready to continue to impact community. So we excited. And Pretty Tony, we know you watching out there. We love you and get well soon. And we'll see you when you get back to the streets with the community. So With that being said, I'm gonna jump into some of the news and then turn over to Ayana for our community events. There's a number of events that's coming up, and we want to make sure that our community folks get access to these events. They are free, and making sure that they get connected with other community folks. So with that being said, okay, I'm reading off my phone. Don't get mad at me, okay? I don't have a production sheet tonight. The Texas schools are asking parents if they want to get their child's DNA tested. Okay, they're doing test kits. They have already been distributing test kits to K through 8th graders to take home for their parents and administrators, just in case of deadly situation. There's a lot of pushback. A lot of people are not agreeing with that, but I guess now the schools wants to take our children DNA. They're looking for it also for child trafficking and things of that nature, and they're saying it's easy to identify folks in a crisis. The governor signed the bill, but again, a lot of people are not excited or happy about the school system and the government taking DNA from our children. And we know in the Black community, sometimes those DNA results that they say are just to help find kids, they use them to try to come after folks for things in the past and things of that nature. We don't know what they use the stuff for, okay? I'm just going to tell you, we don't know, all right? But they want to do it. They proposed it. And that's a good question, a conversation that we're going to have to bring up with community. How would you feel about that, giving your child's DNA up to the school system or to the government? More conversations we'll have on that, but we'll keep you posted. We'll tap into some of the folks down there in Texas. I know we got a good following down there, so we'll see what those community families are talking about and how they feel it's impacting them. Also, there was a plea for the Ukrainians to charge up their phones and their microwaves as Russia had an aerial attack causing a lot of their energy infrastructure to be damaged and blown up. So folks out there are just dealing with it, okay? It's getting worse. This war is getting out of control. We have a crisis going on, not only here in the United States, okay, but across this world. People are dealing with it. You look at what's going on in Iran right now with women's rights. It's a lot of things, community. And that's why I say, even at the end of the day, we still are blessed to be here and in America and not have to put up with some of the stuff that some of these other folks are going through. But again, in solidarity, we're going to stand for the women's rights and the things that's going on in Iran and across this world. We're going to make sure that we stand in solidarity with those people and uplift them. It's just tragic times that we are in, but it's impacting the world. And, this is terrible in these days that we're seeing these type of things happen. Also, the news today, the economy is expected to sink to the way it was in the early 1990s. Economists are saying across the United States, the Federal Reserve's jumbo increase of its tax hikes has just cost the American economy. Right now, you can see it across this country, community. Okay, the gas is $7 a gallon. Okay, the cost to go buy groceries and livable goods has increased double in some cases. Discretionary funds are gone. Okay, this is why tonight Dr. Webb here is going to be giving our community some great information on saving and how to get out of debt and how to prepare for these challenging times that's coming up. If you guys haven't seen across the news, there is a number of 500 corporations and large corporations across this country are laying off people at alarming rates. Okay, this has a trickle-down effect to our economy, and a lot of people are being impacted. But they are saying in the springtime next year, we are going to see some low numbers when we talk about economy growth and jobs. So, hey, community, do your part now. Listen to tonight's presentation. It's very important. We have to start saving, investing, and doing the things that we have to do to make sure that we build up emergency funds to stay out of these jams, okay? The credit card market is going to get tighter. They're crunching down on the loan lending amounts. And y'all know Black and brown folks, we get discriminated the hardest, okay? So them numbers are going to get even tighter for us. But again, a lot of work to do, community. We're going to have to do our part to help support each other. And I'm hoping all of these organizations that have resources and services continue to impact our community through this holiday season. This is going to be some challenging times as the weather is coming down and temperatures are dropping. The time is going back an hour. It's going to get darker early. Folks are going to need resources. There's going to be a lot of food and feeding that's going to need to happen in our community. And again, when it gets to the holidays, we want to make sure that our young folks in the community, okay, have a blessed holiday season, and we're going to do our part to make sure that we impact families as well as community folks. We're going to put out a goal, and we're going to be doing some stuff to impact. We're going to be partnering with other organizations to make sure that families who have been impacted get the love and the support and the services that they need. So again, stay tuned, community. Reach out to us, okay? If you have a family in the community that you know are struggling in San Francisco or in the Bay Area, reach out to us. Send information to info@bsotc.org. Okay, we want to start gathering who these families are that need support, especially our families who have been impacted by gun violence. Okay, y'all know in San Francisco, Oakland, across this Bay Area, been an increase of gun violence, a lot of lives being lost, and we want to make sure that we impact those families who have left behind siblings and family members to make sure that even in their pain, they know they have support from community during this holiday season. So we're looking forward to impact this holiday season. And if that is you out there that feel like in your heart you want to do something, reach out to us, because we want to partner with as many folks that we can to make sure that our families in our community who have dealt with domestic violence, gun violence, the young people that are still in those households have the things that they need to cope and feel part of the community and part of the holiday season as well. So with that being said, Ayanna, go ahead and take over the events and the rest of the news to update community what's going on here at both sides of the conversation.
Yes, it's all a pleasure to do so. So all these events are pretty much free. So that's a good thing. No money needed. So we have our Halloween movie night, which will be Friday, October 21st, which is tomorrow, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in San Francisco. The address is located at the bottom of the screen. The next event is the Bayview Reentry Family and Friends Day. That'll be tomorrow as well at 11 a.m. at the Bayview YMCA. Next, we have the All Good in the Hood pumpkin hat patch for our little ones, and that'll be tomorrow as well from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Next, we have the Mount Rose City of Refuge first annual breast cancer and 5K walk. That'll be Saturday, October 22nd, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Crosby, Texas. Next, we have the grand opening block party. Come see what's new in the Bayview. That'll be Saturday, October 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in San Francisco. The next event is our Ocean Avenue Halloween Block Party and Ethnic Toy Drive, Saturday, October 22nd from 12 to 3 p.m., and that's the block party. And then the Ethnic Toy Drive is from 4 to 8 p.m., and that'll be at the Ave Bar in San Francisco as well. Next, we have the Halloween movie night, Sunday, October 23rd. Doors open at 3 p.m., and the movie starts at 6:30 p.m., and that'll be at the Bayview Opera House. Next, we have the Halloween event, Thursday, October 27th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and that'll be in San Francisco as well. The information is at the bottom of the screen. Next, we have the Wizardly Nights, Friday, October 28th, 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in San Francisco. Our next event is the one-day youth baseball camp, free event, ages 9 to 14 years of age. And that'll be Saturday, October 29th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Juniper Serra Playground. Next, we have the Bayview Hunters Point Jubilee and Resource Fair, Saturday, October 29th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Martin Luther King Park across the street from the Southeast Health Center. Next, we have the Parenting and Poverty Justice Rally, Saturday, October 29th at 2 p.m. at the California State Capitol. People come out and let your voices be heard. The address is 1315 10th Street in Sacramento, California. Next, we have the Harvest Festival. It's a free event, Monday, October 31st, and that's at 5 p.m., and that'll be in Bay Point, California. For more information, call the numbers below. Next, we have the high school test prep class open to all 7th and 8th graders. And the classes start in October. Please see below for more information. Next, we have monkeypox vaccinations, and that'll be happening every Thursday, 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at 701 Alabama Street in San Francisco, California. Next, we have our Peace Park Presents Friday Night Fun every Friday night from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center in San Francisco. Our next event is Saturday, Family Fun Day. It's a field trip, sporting events, and much more every second and fourth Saturday. For more information, email sfrebels1990@gmail.com. Next, we have the 33rd Annual Peewee Basketball League. Registration is currently open. They're looking for coaches to volunteer, and the league actually started in October, but please email the Rebels to get involved and work with our wonderful children. Next, we have the San Francisco Smart Money Coaching. That's free, confidential financial guidance for anyone living, working, or receiving services in San Francisco. Schedule your appointment as soon as you can at the number below. Next, we have celebrating Black culture. You can apply for a 7,500 grant in funding for Black culture preservation in certain areas of San Francisco. To apply, visit the email below. Now, we here at both sides of the conversation, we have our own GoFundMe. We're doing a capacity building fundraiser. So visit our GoFundMe and make a donation today. Now, for our Bsotc announcement, both sides of the conversation is looking for volunteers, and I know you all are out there. So we want you all to be a part of this awesome organization and give your talents and your time. Sign up today to be a volunteer. You can make a difference. Now, if you don't have time to volunteer, you can support us while you shop online at amazonsmile.com. Amazon Smile donates 0.5% of your eligible purchases on Amazon to both sides of the conversation. All you need to do is start your shopping at smile.amazon.com and choose both sides of the conversation as your charitable organization, and the donation will be made at no extra cost to you. Now, I urge you all to go to all of our social media sites for more news and to give back to our community and support BSOTC. Thanks, and those are all of your announcements for tonight.
Wow, thank you very much, Yana. As y'all can see, there's a lot of things going on in the community. Get involved, okay? We're trying to bring people together, all kind of things. Black love, okay? These events are free. Take your girl out on a date. I don't know. Go to one of these events, have a good time. No cost to you, okay? These are community events, and thank you to all the community organizations that continue to impact our communities. With that being said, enough of me. Y'all done heard enough of me. Y'all done heard enough of the team. It's time to get to the main event tonight. Okay, we are here with a phenomenal queen that is going to bless our community with information that we need. So we're going to go ahead and bring up Dr. Webb. She is a financial coach, a financial guru, as they say, and she's going to come bless our community with some information to make sure we get our finances in order, and she's going to do a phenomenal job. So with that being said, Dr. Webb, welcome to both sides of the conversation. Come educate the people. Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
It is my honor to be here. Thank you both. And thank you, Tony, for encouraging me to check this out. John Henry, I'm so proud of you and your team. This is what we need to make a difference in the community. And yes, Black folks helping Black folks, organizations being in alignment, being in partnership. We do not have to agree. What we do benefit from is listening and learning and leveraging each other.
Most definitely. Well, thank you very much. Well, go ahead and give the community a little background about you, and then we'll jump into your presentation. But go on and talk to the people. Let them know who you are. You know, sometimes they be like, who is that? Who you talking about? I want to let them know who
well,
you are.
Let me be really transparent. And I am honored to still be here. Last week, I experienced my 64th birthday, and I was not supposed to live to the age of 20. I was born to a 13-year-old who was harmed since at least the age of 5, and I was born into those same circumstances and harm before the age of 3, before I was placed in a series of foster homes where I grew up in Southern California. Fast forward, I have an awesome family of brothers, sisters, and many nieces and nephews. I am extremely fortunate. I am absolutely wealthy. And my wealth goes far beyond my money. It's not first and foremost about my money. I and my colleagues define wealth in terms of faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. If I didn't have faith, I wouldn't have a clue my values. And if I didn't have my values, I probably wouldn't have the kind of relationships that I have with my family members. And if I had no money, I wouldn't be housed, have the basic shelter, and definitely it's critical that I have my health. And without my health, all of it, I lose the value of all the rest. And then having fun is something I'm learning to do as I've gotten older. Because when I was younger, I was driven initially to survive. because some of the conditions that I was in were horrific. Others were pleasant, lovely. I didn't understand because my foundation was not complementary initially. And yet the power that I had, thank goodness, was to be sufficiently open. It was to listen to one of my brothers early on when I was 7, or whether it was to witness people acting and behaving and seemingly to be brilliant in different circumstances. I was acutely aware and open as a little humble introvert who was not, again, supposed to, for very rational reasons, to live to age of 20. But let me tell you, inspired by a sense of responsibility for myself, I plowed through all kinds of nonsense, things that literally I was known for that I won't mention today, but maybe I'll mention when I come back in November. And I didn't do it alone. I didn't get through those challenging, very difficult, and painful circumstances alone. I was able to leverage people that I may never meet in this lifetime. People who ensured that there was a service over here or there was a university over there. And I went to college because I didn't want to be homeless again. And most people think I went to college because I was smart. I was silver spooned. I don't even know what that meant until I got into college and realized I didn't want to be homeless. So I had to fight to learn and then relearn and learn anew in order to be successful. On that journey, there was a lot of pain and discomfort. And as a natural introvert, I was trying to be an extrovert. So no one would ask me who I was, where I was from, or anything, because I was not proud of myself. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't like anything about my face, my hair, or anything. It was that classic little girl who grew into a young lady who bought a lot of the negative messaging. And then somehow I plowed through that messaging. Well, let me tell you, plowing through that messaging saved my life. At some point, I experienced an epiphany, and it wasn't the first epiphany. But one of the major epiphanies was that I didn't have to just survive. I could actually design my life. And later on, I can actually thrive. And it's not about my anything, my height, my age, my hair, my skin tone, my nose, my lips, everything that I value about myself now, I didn't like. I thought it was something wrong with me. And unfortunately, too many of them are dismissed and negated, and we buy the messaging. In fact, I have some of my brothers who ended up in prison for most of their lives. One just got out of prison this year, Jacob, beautiful man, brilliant, smarter than me. But he had to go through what he went through, whatever reason, and I wish he didn't. I had to go through what I had to go through, some of which I wish I didn't. Yet if I didn't, I don't know that I would be the person I am now. Why am I giving you that perspective? Because I want you to understand that, or at least to hear, even if you don't understand, to hear that I'm like a lot of folks. I have things that I value about myself and things I like about myself. Some things I still don't like about myself, but they're not important for me to work on. And more importantly, I love myself unconditionally, which I didn't even understand what that was as a kid. Now I understand it. And I don't know where my mother is, if she's alive or she's transitioned. Yet I also always do a meditative prayer to her to let her know that I'm so deeply appreciative that she gave me life when she didn't have to. That little kid chose to give me life. She didn't have to. She could have harmed herself beyond how she was harmed. So I'm shifting very quickly into what I do now because of my vision for the rest of my life. As I shift into that, I want you to know that I spent most of my life as an adult in higher education. By design, I felt like higher education saved my life. Literally, I'm studying in this particular discipline, that discipline, whether it's ethnic studies or it's history or it is mathematics or it's English course or it's a psychology course, a biology course, on earth sciences, and the more the more I was exposed to, the more I heard, the more I was exposed to people from all over the planet, the more I was able to see things that were culturally remarkably different and be invited into spaces that didn't make sense to me. And yet I was sufficiently open, as I always had been, to just observe and receive, to understand. It helped me understand, oh my gosh, I will far exceed what supposedly is my destiny. I'll create my own destiny. So here I am. And I chose higher education because I wanted other people to experience what I experienced their own way, for their own reasons, whoever they would choose to be, whether they were Black like me and didn't understand their inherent gifts and beauty and goodness, extraordinary legacy that goes back thousands of years, likely hundreds of thousands of years. That's my dog barking. My apologies. He's always part of the conversation. I want you to know that in the process of choosing to live within higher education, because I was there almost 7 days a week, I usually went to the institution before people got there and left after. I was in love with what I was doing. And I did a review of all the folks with whom I'd worked for almost 40 years, 38 years closer, to be more specific, and how many lives we affected. Over 100,000. Some of you can imagine that, because you are like John Henry. You are actively engaged to influence, to incentivize, to support, to love on folks so that they see their best selves. Sometimes they have to see it in others, like I had to see it in others before I could even see it in myself. I didn't even know that my nose was attractive to me until I was in my late 40s. I was going to have rhinoplasty. Can you imagine me trying to get a nose that looked like my brother's? Classic African Native American with the hook and broad. I thought their nose was beautiful. It is for them. Can you imagine thinking my cheekbones were too big? People go get surgery to get cheekbones look like that. My lips were too big. I wanted to lighten them. Oh my God, I'm so glad that I didn't allow that self-negation to illuminate in a way where I wouldn't even recognize myself. I'm going back and forth for a reason, because in the process of serving other people throughout that period, initially at UC Riverside, then going to Sonoma University, then on to where did I go after that? Stanford University, UC Berkeley, Miami-Dade Community College District, a researcher at UC Berkeley again, Contra Costa Community College District, Peralta Community College District, literally a few other places in between, including Silicon Valley as a consultant. As I went to these places, as I gave, I experienced what the universe does. Think about a boomerang. I don't know if all of you experienced a boomerang. As a kid, I used to love boomerangs. You throw them with whatever intensity, they come back with greater intensity. Oh my goodness. And it does come back. And it's akin to whether it's the stories and all the different religious texts or philosophical texts about give and you receive in abundance. You give your 100%, you may get back 300%, 500%. It comes. Well, I gave because I wanted other people to experience the best of themselves in their own way and to love on them unconditionally. Not a kumbaya moment necessarily, but just hard on them, letting them know you can do it. And here's how I did it. But that's not the only way. In fact, that was probably an inefficient way. Here's what I've learned to be a more efficient way. And oh my goodness, Black folks, Latinos, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, Asians, different groups, white folks, especially those who were lower middle class or poor, helping all those folks recognize they were much more than what they were told they were, and they could do much more because where do we come from? The source from which we all come, to which we're all a part, and where we return. So let me move a little bit faster. So I go to higher education, and I am just having a ball. And before I know it, I'm asked to take on more responsibility. Cool. And before I know it, I'm taking on more responsibility that no one asked me to. Before I know it, I'm just like, oh my God, I got to do more. I've got to do more. And so that's why I moved, because at some point I was doing things like the back of my hand. I knew where the crevices were. I knew how to deal with the different detractors and the issues. I knew where the paths were. I don't want to know everything anymore. I didn't know everything, but I didn't want to know. I wanted to know more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to have greater impact. So it wasn't surprising that I went from a recruiter. Oh, it was awesome experience. Going to over 60 high schools and at least half of the community colleges in the state of California, and recruiting people from community centers. Oh my God, it was awesome. Talking to parents, to children, all the way to being a college president. 21,000 students at the height, over 800 employees among faculty, among professors, classified staff, administrators, these genius of spirits, so many of them, in partnership with all those folks all over the place, and learning from them and being elevated to take on a challenge, either because no one else wanted to or they needed to undermine me, whatever it was, I did. And it was awesome. I grew more. And I mentioned the fact that whether it is someone values you and they give you an opportunity, it seems maybe like a challenge, it's foreboding, or they don't like you, you believe, and you have evidence, and they give it to you anyway. I say, look at that opportunity as challenge, as a possible opportunity, and leverage whatever network you have. And hopefully you're not an isolate like I was too often. I'm extroverted. When it comes to interacting, I love people, can move throughout a room, and yet I'm naturally introverted. So I don't talk too much about myself, although I'm doing quite a bit right now. And I didn't ask people for a lot of questions until I kept hitting walls. And finally I said, okay, I got to figure out who to talk to. Because so much when you're in an executive role, you can't share. So much confidential. And I could learn from people without talking about the confidential, and understand that even if something's given to me as a big challenge that's I'm not supposed to succeed, there's a way to do it. We Black folks, especially, I could say a lot of other folks, part of my ancestry, we have dealt with a lot of nonsense. So we are in a better position to see the nonsense a mile away. Not only that, to anticipate and learn from those nonsensical situations, strategize with one another in order to just wave them away and move forward. So I chose to move, and move with distinction throughout higher education. And then I chose, after some real difficult circumstances and some real opportunities, to retire. And immediately within 6 months, people kept coming to me. I need this. Can you help me with this? I kept saying yes, because that's my wiring. Can you help me become a president? Can you help me become a vice president? Can you help me become a dean? Can you help me work with this Silicon Corporation? Can you help me make, $1 million or whatever? And they were all successful. And they kept saying, thank you. Oh my God, you helped me do it. And I kept saying, you did it. I gave you some recommendations. You did the heavy lifting. I point you in direction. I connected you with some nodes in the network. You did the heavy lifting. And that's the power of each one of us. And some of you are probably nodding your head. Yeah, I know. You have a clue. We tend to know so much more than we think. We tend to take too much of ourselves for granted. We tend not to see the awesomeness of who we are when we look in the mirror. And I got to tell you, I have met very few ugly people in my life. Yeah, I've met a few. They were really deeply ugly. They were in a lot of pain. And so they were about the business of hurting other people. Didn't matter how they dressed, how their hair looked, how their skin looked. They might have looked gorgeous on the outside, but they were some of the most ugly people I've ever met. And you've met some. So shine them on, wish them well, wish them their healthiest selves. Then recognize when you look in the mirror, look for that healthy self, that profound individual. who has a deep sense of understanding of values. And if you don't, you're building that. Who connects with family, whether it's the family that you were born into or family you've created, who are dealing with your finances from the standpoint of being the chief executive of your life. That's what this is about. That's all that I'm doing with my team and colleagues, is helping people understand that literally we get to be the chief executives of our lives. And we get to facilitate that with our children, help them understand what leadership means fundamentally. I'm not talking about reading 50, 100 books. Yes, they can do that. And they can get a lot from that. I'm talking about people know what leadership is when they see it. There's integrity, honesty, there's clarity of a vision, there's an operational plan. Even if they don't know exactly what to put in that plan, they operationalize it. They're open to leveraging and moving forward, taking action. There's so much more to it, of course. But we want everyone to do that. So when you hear what I have to share about, and it's a tip of the iceberg, and we're going to go deeper every month, the next few months, into what we call financial education, just recognize I love questions. Bring them on. I love discord. Call it whatever we want to call it, Socratic discussion, constructive questions, constructive feedback. If you are an expert yourself and you have a different opinion, bring it on. I get to learn from you, from all of us, even if I don't change, because I understand the platform that I leverage is appropriate for the folks with whom I work, whether they're individuals, families, or business owners. I need to hear from you, especially when you have a counter view. It'll help me right size my understanding. So let me share in brief. Signature Solutions Corporate Results is the name of my organization. Intentionally called it Signature Solutions. Bosco, it's okay, sweetie. I know you're protecting all of us. It's okay. Signature Solutions Corporate Results. You can find the website thanks to John Henry and the team. You can see it below. And you can contact me at any time. Welcome your contact. All that I do is complimentary. If I help anyone, and I mean that, it's free. If I help anyone secure a particular program, product, policy, service, then the company that works best for my client will compensate me with marketing dollars. So I want you to know that up front. I get to provide workshops, seminars for groups, for individuals, for families, and you don't have to put out a dime. That's the nature of my life now. Service. Just be clear, I get paid very well, so don't worry about that. This is about serving and ensuring that in less than 10 years, through my team that's expanding, 1 million families are financially independent and building generational wealth. Now, let me say something about that. The majority of us in our lifetime can literally generate $1 million. I've done the math in so many different ways. Even if you're earning, let's just say $50,000 a year for the household, there's a way to do it. $40,000, there's a way to do it. Yes, I know. In the Bay Area, we need 100,000, 150, 200, whatever it is, based upon the lived circumstances the family demands. Just know that building wealth is not as difficult as it seems. And wealth should never be just tied to money. Because if it is, you are going to lose so much of the precious aspects of developing those assets. Okay, so what do? We help people increase their cash flow. We help people save for their child or their grandchild or their nieces and nephews or any child that they love, their college education, or building a business. If the child chooses just to do 1 year college, 2 year, or none, travel the world and come back and enhance that business, whatever. We help people develop the resources, understand how they can develop the resources in order to meet that need. We help people with emergency funds. We definitely help people understand how to protect themselves and then build wealth and be able to leave a legacy because they've sustained those resources in a way where those resources compound. So I have a quick
You ready for me to put the presentation up?
please do,
All
because
right.
I am learning how to use technology, and I appreciate you, John Henry, and your team for what you know.
All
So you
right.
see that's
Yep.
what we're about.
Yeah, we see the first slide, the financial independence up there.
I see it too. We're about helping individuals, families, and business leaders. So when you think about your overall financial resources, I want you to think about your power and your decisions. So what we do is help people expand their savings. Definitely save, but expand the width of their savings, the depth of their savings, the nature of their savings, where they save, in order to ensure that their dreams, their hopes for the future, for actually tomorrow, not too far in the future, can be actualized, can materialize. So the first thing we do, first and foremost, is do a financial needs analysis. So we ask people, when was the last time you had a medical checkup, a dental checkup? When was the last time you had your vehicle checked out, serviced? Then when was the last time you had a financial checkup? And most people, only one person out of over 150 in the last few months have said, I just did that last year. It's incredible. Most of us never think of doing a detailed review of our finances. And I'm not talking about just simply, I've got a budget. Budget is interesting. Budget is good. Budget is not the beginning, nor should it be the end. I remember planning to bring in millions of dollars into the college. And people were like, oh, how much do we need? And they were trying to get me to give them a number. And I said, well, we need to know what we want first. What is our vision for this whole new design? What is it that we really want to achieve in terms of goals? Then we decide how much money we need to get there. If we just simply said 30 million or 100 million, we might not have got to where we were, which was almost $1 billion, in order to achieve the vision that we had. So the point is, you don't start with the money. Never. You start with the big vision. So what are your dreams and goals? And then we move to say, okay, let's look at what you're doing right now. And most people are much smarter than they give themselves credit. And there's a note you're going to see later here. Most people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. Well, actually, you won't see it in this one because that's not true. Many people do plan. Yet if they have insufficient information, and many of you, I'm sure, are planning. If you have information that's either not correct or insufficient correct information, you may not get to your destination as efficiently as you'd like. You may get there. Hopefully you will. But why not get there sooner or get there, period? Now, what we talk to a lot of folks from high school youth who are brilliant. We've got some brilliant folks. I am not concerned about the future, as a lot of people say. I have over 50 nieces and nephews. No, they don't make up the majority of youth. And I've interacted with a lot of youth in the community because I choose to be engaged. And what I do is I observe, and listen. These are some sharp people. What they need more of us to do is what John Henry and his team are doing, and that is get good information out to them where they're able to engage and ask questions and challenge it. Oh, can you imagine being in a room, bunch of young people, 50 or 100, and they're challenging you? That is the best space to be in because they're really thinking and at a level of depth that is so negated in our society. Well, not so much, because a lot of them are leveraging mediums that they are creating themselves, social mediums and other things that they're doing. Underground I call it the underground economy, but also the underground social network that most of us are not exposed to, where the real thinking, critical thinking, smart thinking, strategic thinking is happening. And I think these young people are going to take things to a level that those of us in our 60s and older, we have no clue. And I'm saying, bring it on. So what I share with some, whether they're young or whether they're older, the age of 80, people say, I don't have enough money to save. So then I ask them to reflect. Not that they're wrong. I ask them to reflect. Well, what do you leverage weekly? And a few of them have actually gone back and looked at their bank statements, their credit card statements, and they know exactly what they've spent for the last 6 months. That's a smart idea. And they know if they're buying a popcorn every week. Well, as one sister told me, she says, well, for some people, that's the only happiness they have. They've got to have that popcorn. I'm not sweating that. I'm just saying, understand what you're using your funds for and ask yourself, could you save $10 a day? It's $300 a month. Could you do that? Could you save $5 a day? Some people cannot, and yet many of us can. So what does that look like? $300 a month. For 30 years at an 8% return, that's almost $450,000. And for those of us who can save more, double that per month, 600, that's almost 900,000 in 30 years. So when I say, depending upon our ages, depending upon our resources, depending upon where we have those resources, we could eat all of our families, or not all, but many of our families could have wealth. And definitely with certain policies, we can leave wealth for the next generation. It has to be structured right. Too many of us negate having a will. And I get it, because you have a will, it still goes with probate. And who gets some of the assets? The courts, lawyers. But what about a living trust where the will is embedded, where you are clear about your instructions? And it never goes to probate, never goes to court. Other attorneys that have nothing to do with your trust, they don't get to touch it. Your specific will, your instructions for how to continue your legacy is embedded there. That's what we do. I jumped ahead of myself. So what is this? This is how we tend to save our money. There are different ways of saving money, right? And what do? We have money that come from different sources. Investment income, what is that? That's stocks. As an example, real estate income. A number of the viewers probably have real estate. Good for you. Kudos. Whether it's real estate that you purchased or was bequeathed to you from loved ones. Guaranteed income, pensions, annuities, and then tax-free income. 4 incomes in retirement. Why am I jumping to retirement? I want everyone to think about planning as though we're going to live a long life. Independent of current circumstances, plan to live the life that you want to live, whether to the age of 80, 90, 100, 120. Plan to live the life you want. And then back up and say, okay, I know that's what I want. So how do I get there? And how do I ensure that I minimize paying anyone and everyone else unless they're folks that are near and dear to me? And self, tax-free income. We're going to come back to that. This is something that I don't know how many of you have seen, but some folks have seen this. This really cuts to the chase in terms of rules of money. There are 4 phases of money. 3 are there. There's accumulation phase, there's a distribution phase, there is the protection phase after you've accumulated, but then there's what we call a legacy phase that one could say is part of the distribution. We're going to walk through those 3 very quickly. And there's so much more to this slide. This slide is a powerful slide. And where we want everyone to be who's listening, and anyone who sees the recording of this, is on the right side of this slide. Literally. And this is where the wealthy are. This is where the folks who know how to leverage policies, particular systems, particular programs, and definitely the IRS codes, they're on the right side of this slide. 5% of the population. It's growing because folks like me are out there saying, okay, here's how you do it. Let's get it in place and let's get you educated so you don't need me in the future. You want me because you want more education, but you can do it on your own. That's what we want. We want you to be so well informed that you know when someone's running a scam on you. You know when someone's giving you substantive information. 95% of us in this country, and probably beyond, are on the left side of this slide. Why is that a problem? Because this is why we don't get further ahead. So what does the right side tells us? It tells us that we probably have most of our money in either a bank or a credit union. I'm not sweating that. We do that because we want safety, right? And then most of us have our money in some kind of fixed account, whether it's a bank, a credit union, or it's some other kind of account that's fixed. It's not moving. The bad thing about fixed is that if inflation continues to grow, and it was over 9% this year officially. Unofficially, let's be very clear. If it says 9% times 3, we know, as John Henry was mentioning earlier, gas prices, food, so many of the things that we take for granted that we need have gone up much more than 9%. So and that's a whole nother conversation. I could show you the math. I can show you the changes that happen at the federal level that makes it appear as though it's 9% when it's much higher. But that's another conversation. And then the other thing that we do is we tend to pay taxes now or taxes later, but we do it in a way we have to pay taxes twice on our money. So let's start with the first rule first. The rule of 72 basically says, it's a basic math formula. You take the interest you're earning on your money, you divide it into 72, and that's how long it's going to take your money to grow. So let's say you know someone like I do, a 29-year-old who has $10,000. She puts her money in the bank or credit union, and she's fortunate because most banks and credit unions don't provide a 1% return. She's earning a 1% return. It's going to take her 72 years before that 10,000 becomes 100, becomes 20,000. Is that reasonable? Of course not. So what we do is we encourage her to do what the banks do. Put her money in a higher interest-bearing account that's consistent. And so if it's 12%, guess what? 12 divided into 72 is what? 6. So instead of it taking 72 years, it takes 6 years for her money to double. And by the time she is what, 71? And she did nothing but kept that 10,000 in that account, she now has over $1.2 million. People, when they look at that, are like scratching their head. I said, I can run math for you right now. And some people are much more brilliant than I, and they run the math themselves. Like, wow. It's not that big of a deal, folks. Folks are doing this all the time. We can do it. And then the next rule of money is about protecting. So once we have those monies, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, a million, millions, we want to keep those funds, right? We want to be able to access them. We'll talk about that in a second. We want to have those money continue to be protected. And there's a way to do it. So there's the place your money in a fixed account and place your money in a variable account, stock market. What's the problem with that? The opportunity is when the market goes up. The challenge, if you're just dealing with traditional engagement in the stock market, when it goes down, it's a reflection of the unpredictable, uncertain nature of the market. It serves a purpose. The market was never designed to ensure that any one of us has a retirement account. It wasn't designed for that. And so we have indexing. Most people, I'm 64. I was 61 when I first heard of indexing in terms of the IRS code 7702A. Never heard of that before. I've heard of index in terms of stock indices. I've heard of index cards. I'm being facetious. But let's be clear. This notion of index is powerful. Because what is it? It's the best of fixed and variable without the downside of either one of these. So yes, it's related to and it leverages the stock market, and yet your money never touches the stock market. And I can describe how that works in another conversation, maybe when I come back. But literally, you put your money there, 10,000, it grows to 100,000, a million, whatever it is. And literally, you will never lose that principal. It just continues to grow. We call it a stairway to wealth. Some people jokingly but seriously call it stairway to heaven financially, because it opens up the vista to do other things you want to do with your life, for your family, for yourself. That's real protection. There's no protection here when literally the fixed account doesn't keep up with inflation. So you're losing the purchasing power of your dollar. I don't need to tell you that. You already know that. Here, over $3 trillion was lost. Some people say, what do you mean lost? Well, somebody got it. But not the folks who had those over $3 trillion in their retirement accounts gone this year because of the stock market. $3 trillion. And I hope you were not, no one of you were among those. Yet, unfortunately, too many people I know lost a lot of money. A significant amount just wiped out. But what do a lot of folks here? Stay in the market, because the market was created not for people to leave. It was created for people to stay, because the market will recover. Well, they're right. The market does recover in time, but you don't know when. And you don't know how long it will take for it to recover. You know, historical averages. What they never tell you, because they legally can't tell you, is that your money will recover. So you may recover your money, but you lost time. I'm going to show you something in a second that reveals that. Then this last row reflects the fact that in the first two columns, if we're earning money, if we're earning income, we pay taxes, right? We understand that. And if you're like me, not everybody's like me, I want to pay some tax. I want to contribute to the economy. I want to contribute to the infrastructure, to Social Security. I want to contribute in different ways. Yet I don't want all my money to go to taxes. And so I want to literally save some of my money for me, for my family, for the legacy I'm creating for my nieces and nephews. So if I just put it in a bank account, as I historically did, or a credit union, etc., then I would be looking at losing a lot of my potential, because whatever I earned at that 1% or that 2% or that 2.5 or 2.75, if I'm lucky, then guess what? I've got to pay taxes on it that year, on my income taxes. Here, a lot of folks leverage the tax later, 401k, 403b, I can go on and on, IRAs. And here's the good news. They don't have to pay tax at the front end. Here's the bad news. When they take it out, they're paying taxes twice, on the original earnings and on the growth. Most people, when I talk to them about got all this money for retirement, that is awesome. You did a great job. You were smart in savings. Okay. Now, when you do draw it, because you're going to draw it in about 5 years, how much do you need to live on? Oh, I've got enough. I already did the math. And I said, okay, can I see your math? And they don't account for the taxes. And for those who are in states like California, where there's a tax in addition to the federal tax, California is over 10%. Federal government, depending upon where they're at, 22, 24, 31. That's a lot. At least 40%, potentially up to 50% comes out. Oh my gosh. When I tell people that, they're like, I thought this was my money. It is in part, but that 401k, that 403b, those plans are, you're in partnership with the government. And if they so chose to increase the taxes, guess what? It's more money coming out of your account. So who owns your account, really? You think you do? I honor however you perceive, whatever you perceive. Now, the last column is what people are overwhelmed by. I was, but actually I didn't even get to see the sheet because I heard the word indexing and I was like, stop, I got to read a book. So one of the books I read was The Power of Zero by David Mcknight. I don't know if you could see it on the camera. Okay. Another book I read was Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. I read over 30 books literally in less than 4 or 5 months. I was just amazed. as much as I read and love to read and learn, it was all higher education. It was all about student success. It was all about leadership development in terms of the folks with whom I worked. It was all about administrative. It was all about partnerships, et cetera. It wasn't about finance. And all of my education, all the way through PhD at UC Berkeley, in the School of Education, in the School of Business, never learned these basic rules of money. John Henry, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed by the fact that these basics I was not exposed to. And then I talked to colleagues who are financial experts. In fact, one of my brothers who raised millions of dollars every year for a school. And he's brilliant. The brother is off the charts. So humble and not. Paul, if he sees this, he's just going to be laughing. And his wife will too. And he had never heard of indexing. And he does. He loves the stock market. He loves his 401k. He works with a major corporation on the East Coast. I put all of his business. And he had one of his dear friends from college on the call, who's been with one of the major banking establishments for 20 years. The guy on the call just to check what I was sharing. And he got off the call. He never said anything wrong on the call. He said to my brother, he says, call him up. He says, that's the real deal. I never heard of it. I should have. I've been a VP in this industry for all these years. So just because someone's in the financial services industry does not mean they're exposed to what I'm sharing with you right now, which is an opportunity to literally have an index account that compounds your dollars, save you from any downside. Zero is your hero. You continue to grow as the market grows. You're not in the market ever. So when the market plummets, no big deal. You don't have to recover. I want to share this. This is something that most people don't you don't see this. Why would they see this? So when you have your money that's being taxed, brilliant people, all of us, in our own ways, unique ways, we take $1, we double it 20 times. When it's not taxed, guess what we have? Over $1 million. Have you ever seen this before, John Henry?
Yes, I have seen it. I know about the compound. I know about the compound account.
You got it. You're on it. And so when one is taxed at 25%, you see what happens on the far right. They don't walk away with $1 million. They walk away with much less. When one has a 33.3%, they walk away with even less. So that's the federal tax and the state tax, or just the federal tax. What we're about is helping people eliminate taxes on their growth. Eliminate it. Yes, we've got to pay taxes on the income, but think about it. There are folks who seem like they're awesome out there. They're like, oh, I don't need an income. I'm going to work for this corporation for free. Always look to see if they have what we call a cash accumulation and insurance policy. Or someone says, oh, I'm going to be president. I'm not going to take an income. Find out if they have a cash accumulation insurance policy. A lot of these folks literally are having whatever the resources they're getting from that entity go directly into insurance. So they pay taxes only on that income, but not the growth. So they may earn, let's say it's $1 million. You put it in a tax-free account, like a tax-free cash accumulating insurance policy. $1 million in a few years could easily, depend upon the interest rate of return, let's say if it's 10%, 10 divided into 72 is 7.2 years, right? So that million is now 2 million. Let's say that they're getting a nice chunk because they're a CEO of a corporation, and it's just 5 million. Let's say the market turns around 20%. You know what the results are. With two of our companies last year, A-rated companies that we expose our clients to. We work for them, not companies. It's 61.33% return last year. No joke. I can show you the documentation. On one account, another account, it was 158% return. Our clients got crazy. And so we don't know. We're so busy trying to figure out how to make our dollar stretch, when in fact, that information, you may have already heard it here with John Henry, that most folks have never heard of. This slide is significant because most of us are paying taxes on our harvest. Our harvests are our retirement funds. We're pulling them out and we're paying taxes. And the older we get, we're supposed to have less taxes, right? I have not met any person in their 70s who's paying less taxes than they paid when they were working. All of them, without exception, are paying higher taxes. And the route things are going, and if you read The Power of Zero, and some of you may have, and if you haven't, it's a quick read. In fact, I think you can find this on the internet, PDF. It's a, I think, less than $10 book. It'll remind those of us and inform others of us that taxes at the height were 94%. 94%. So 37% is low, relatively speaking. Yet it's going up. Next year, expected to be higher. And because of key factors, which we'll highlight in a moment, going up. So the question I always ask, would you prefer to pay taxes on the seeds or the harvest? No brainer. Seeds, because you have the seeds now and they're just seeds. The harvest is abundance. You don't want to pay taxes on the abundance because it's going to be more taxes. You want to pay it on the seeds. In a similar way, when you earn your money, you want to pay taxes and be done and have your savings go into an account where you never have to pay taxes again. Yet you have access to those funds, right? And this is a visual, very quick visual. I just want you to look at the bottom line. Someone putting their money in the stock market, which many folks have done well there. So this is not about negating the stock market. This is about honoring what it's set up to do. It's not set up to provide a retirement account. It's not set up to guarantee you a result. Some people are extraordinary, and you may be among them, able to leverage the best. And I say, do what works for you. Diversify your portfolio. Don't put it all in one basket, as this person did at the end of that person retired in 2020, right after COVID, had lost significant amount of the 401k that individual had set aside. Whereas this other individual leveraged what we're talking about, an account that provides a kind of compounding on one's cash that accumulates, protects them from the downside of the market, zero's the hero, at the end of the day, over 2 million. While I'm not going through all the details, I just want you to understand there are so many different options. And I know that you've heard, or the audience, this beautiful audience have heard of one of the many plans that we have. And it's the $1 Million Baby Plan. But let me just say, starting out with less than $30,000 total put into a plan by the time that child from 1 to age 14, this is what that child and the family could look forward to in a particular policy that's properly structured. And I have to emphasize properly structured. It's a whole other conversation. They could literally receive income in their lifetime that, assuming they live to the age in their 90s, they could receive 3.5 million or more with just $30,000 invested. And then should they die, of course, much older, this is close to 89. Should they die at 89, then they're looking at the beneficiaries, whether it's their family, their children, whomever, receiving that death benefit. So the total they will have benefit from that plan would have been over $5 million. So I hope you're catching what I'm throwing out there. This is another snapshot, and I'm sorry it's not properly presented. The bottom line is this person's 30. Put aside $6,000 a year for 36 years. So the total premium paid is $216,000. Yet can start an annual distribution by the time that person is now, 67? Of 105, the properly structured plan, and have that for 36 years. This is just one illustration for one person. And the death benefit received for that family is almost $9 million. And so that person's walking away with $14 million. It's all about the structure and how one chooses to leverage this opportunity. This one, I don't know if you could see very well, but from the age of 50, but it shows 51, that's the insurance year. This person set aside $13,000 every year to the age of 65, placing premium of $390 into that person's account. This is a real illustration, so I'm not mentioning gender or any of that. And literally in the net surrender value column, which equals the accumulated value, they have access to $1.16 million. And then this is the death benefit should anything happen to that individual. I want you just to see, and during the course of this time, if they need to take out 10,000, they can take out 10,000 or 100,000, and in a way where they're not taxed. And the money can continue to grow as though they never took the money out. There's more to it, folks. Please contact me if you would like more details. This is one of the many books that makes it plain the power that each one of us has, not only the power of zero, money, wealth, and life insurance, but also the financial pocket knife. Okay? And in it, it just simplifies it. It says a properly structured, we call it a laser fund. I call it a max funded IUL. Literally, you have your protection and you have your cash that's accumulating, that's your savings, and you can use both of them while you're alive. It's the new kind of policy. And yet, let me tell you something. Fundamentally, this has been around since the IRS was created in 1913. And no argument needed. The wealthy informed the Congress to create it. They gave them, so they're creating a situation where we're all taxed and they have a loophole. But the loophole is available to all of us. Did you know the tax code, all those pages, only a few pages are devoted to how to pay taxes? And most of it's devoted to how not to pay taxes. Folks, stuff is available in plain sight. And because we're so busy over here and over there, some of us, not all of us, because some of you are on it. Right, John Henry? Okay.
I'm trying to get them on it. That's why I brought you here. I need the people to know about it. We got to get financially smart.
There was a brilliant sister last year. I believe it was last year. And it was near the beginning of the year, right after just a horrible 2020. And she said to me, she says, I've been telling people, I even put it in social media around the brutality towards Blacks, etc., and people of color, particular groups, Latins, and Native Americans are too often just dismissed as though they're not even here. But I can go on and on in terms of groups. The bottom line, she said, for Black folks, she says, we all got coverage. We not only would we be out there protecting ourselves, the insurance companies would demand protection for us. I hope you're catching what I just put out there. Okay. So think about this one signature product. It's not the only one that we have, but one signature product that we help expose our clients to based upon their needs. Out of most of my clients, is one that didn't need this. She already had what she needed. She's 72 years old, and she said, well, I just want to get it because I like you. I understand. But you have a new dream, a new goal, and then I'll help you get it. But if you have what you have, you don't need this. You would be wasting your money. You have what you need. Oh, yeah, you're right. So this is about people who will leverage this, who need what they need. But here's the bottom line. With this, it's literally like having something that has multiple options for you to address your need, whether you are an individual who've yet to develop a family, a loving family that you so desire, or you're a loner, or you're a family member and you want your family to have this, or you're a business owner. We help businesses. There are businesses that didn't have to worry about shutting down because they had this and they could draw on it during the pandemic. Can you imagine having had a business and you had such a security blanket, if you will, that it was yours and you can draw out the assets and leverage them to sustain your business? I have this here. I've helped, as part of my practice, I have a lot of learning and growth that I experienced myself throughout my life, but especially in the last 10 years. And I purposely chose people around the planet who are much more brilliant than I am, than I can even imagine. And I gained some deeper insight into myself, why I am wired the way I'm wired, and what I did in order to ensure different levels of success and continue to do that so that I continue to succeed. Then I share those same practices with my clients, whether because I'm an executive coach and I work with executives, or I'm working with folks on financial education and I'm coaching them along so they get to where they want to be. Not where I want them to be, where they want to be. And I always begin and end with letting them know that all of us have capacity that exceeds what we have been told, unless we have been very fortunate to be in an environment where people were not just loving on us unconditionally. They did it with intelligent information. And one of the things that everyone should know is that we all have intellectual faculties that can override our subconscious mind in order to get different results. I'm going to say that again. We all have cognitive, mental faculties that can override the subconscious mind to get us to act in a certain way and experience the results that we desire. Now, why am I saying it that way? All of us have been reared. Initially, as children, we had our sensory faculties, right? We could smell. I'm trying to combine them all. Taste, touch, hear, feel, and that drove us as a little infant. And so we had to make sounds so people understood that we were uncomfortable or that we needed water, we need food, we need whatever. And then as we were growing, we were taking all this stuff in. And then at some point, we became even more conscious. I think little babies are conscious, but we became more conscious and began to use some critical faculties and hopefully continue to use critical faculties. But not all of us are leveraging them in a way that I'm recommending. And that is to say, we have will, we have reason, we have intuition, imagination, perception, memory, all of these together at the same time. We can take a new habit, impress it on our subconscious mind, do that new habit every single day, minimum 21 days, preferably 90 days. And before we know it, we've installed a new habit. And then the results that we seek are different than what we've experienced. Why am I saying that? Because if we have whatever kind of mentality we have right now, think in terms of subconscious mind and conscious mind. And I'm sorry, this was all supposed to be white. We have a thinking mind, that's the conscious mind. We have a feeling mind, that is the emotional, heartfelt connection. And most people don't know that 90 to 99% of what we do every day, we think, because I wrote it down, I'm going to do all this, and it's going to get the results I want. We think that we're driven by our conscious mind, when in fact, most of what we do every day is driven by the subconscious mind. We are emotional by nature. So when people say, oh, she's just being emotional, well, they're right. Or they say, well, he's being emotional. He's acting like a girl. Well, no, he's being emotional because he's a human being and we have emotions. And we're driven by the emotional mind. You are so welcome, Tiona. We are driven by what? The emotional mind. And that emotional mind is not inherently good or bad. And yet we don't even know what we're thinking most of the time. We're just doing. Why'd you do that? I don't know. How'd you get home? I drove. What did you see on the long way? I don't know. You're on automatic. Why'd you get out of the bed on that side instead of the other side? Well, I've always done it. Well, why don't you do oh, yeah, I can do that. And then you end up going right back to the same side because you're automatic. That is until you change one or two habits, no more than one or two at a time, and those that are meaningful. Well, why do you go to that routine every morning? You brush your teeth first, and then you wash your face, and then you take a shower. I've always done it. Why you take a shower first, and then we're all operating out of habits. Who are we? Humans are basically habitual beings. The power of knowing you have these mental tools where you can change your feeling mind. You can change your feelings about money. So how many of us have heard money doesn't grow on trees? Oh, we've never been well. Oh, she's just trying to act like she's better than she is. Or he doesn't know what he's doing. He shouldn't even be thinking about doing that. There's no history. All of that is in the programming. So we have to literally, and many of us do, fight against all that programming to transform ourselves. And those of us who do it, it may take years, it may take just a few months, maybe instantaneously, depending upon the degree to which we use those mental tools to override the subconscious mind. Now, people, when they told us that, when we were 5-year-old, 10-year-old, or whatever, they may not have meant to hurt us. That was what they were told. It was programming. Think about our elders who literally picked cotton, who literally cultivated the land. Oh my God, what a genius occupation. A number of them did it because they had to, not because they wanted to. And then some of them have been doing it and still doing it because they love it. Whether they had to or they love it, the powerful thing about doing it is they understood some fundamental things. There's a season for everything. And there are seeds. And there are particular seeds that are going to bear certain results, certain fruits, certain vegetables, certain trees, certain whatever. And they were genius out there in the field, taking those seeds and ensuring the right nutrients, heck, the right soil. They could smell, they could taste, they could touch. They had wisdom, they had genius. So they put it out there. And then they knew they had to cultivate that. They knew they had to protect it. Because whether it was certain bugs, certain animals, certain seasons, climates might undermine, might create hazards. So they guarded those seeds. And then they added the proper nutrients, whatever they were. They ensured that they got the cultivation, water, etc., clean water, guard against chemicals that would otherwise either kill the crop or otherwise undermine it. But they cultivated it. Then they had a harvest. There was a cycle to it all, a cycle of life. In the same way, there's a cycle to developing the financial wealth that we seek to achieve. When I say financial wealth, I'm not taking out, I'm including faith, family, health, or fitness, and fun in that financial wealth. They were cultivating, and then all of a sudden the harvest. Bosco, it's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. So my point, in the same way they knew how to build, how to cultivate, how to farm, how to grow, how to ensure that they were in sync with the seasons, with the universe itself, whether they were told or whether they just observed and learned, that genius when parlayed in cultivating your funds. There's a season for growing your funds. There's a season for protecting all the time your funds. And there's a season for ensuring that you have access to your funds. You want to do that in a systematic way. And what this visual here doesn't do very well, because again, it's supposed to have a white background, so you can't see it very well. It shows that when we think a thing, and if we think it with a new habit and impress it on the subconscious mind, we'll feel differently, especially if we use those mental tools of imagining. I imagine my future, and I imagine it being grand. As a little girl, I imagined my future being grand. I didn't have reason to, except for some inner drive. And I want us to give those youth who may not have that inner drive yet, give them reason to, so they don't even have to figure out it. And then they have the inner drive, get out the way, because they're going to do it. But remind them they've got these tools. No one can take away from them, short of a lobotomy. They can use their mental tools to impress on the subconscious mind, the feeling, emotional mind, with a new habit that leads to whole vibration in the body. When you're imagining greatness, when you're imagining all the things you're going to create for you, you're going to create for your family, you're going to build with others in terms of your business, you're creating a whole new something that's vibrating, that's attracting information. And then all of a sudden someone calls you and you're like, my God, I was just thinking about this yesterday. You sent the message out to the universe. You're thinking about somebody who might be able to help you. He or she picks up the phone or texts you. My goodness, how did you know? I was thinking about you for 2 weeks and I just decided we are powerful folks. So the things that you routinely experience, they're not unusual, they're normal. So what I have here also, in addition to the mental faculties that are so critical, are the universal laws. So when I come back, I'm going to go down in a little bit of depth in that regards. And maybe, John Henry, you'll ask me a few questions, but the universal law of vibration cannot be negated. Everything vibrates. This book is vibrating. At molecular level, this book has holes in it. Everything vibrates. This computer I'm looking at, where I get to see John's beautiful face, and I saw Ayana's beautiful face earlier, this whole thing is vibrating. Nothing is solid. We're constantly, in the degree to which we are excited about what we're about, and it gets us out of the bed. The degree to which we allow the sun, the air, the rain, all of it to nourish us. Oh my goodness, we are better prepared to leverage the seasons to make certain that we manifest what we desire. And so vibration is one. Attraction. You've heard of the law of attraction. Some of you've seen the movie The Secret, and there are different versions. There's a version, the old version with one of my mentors, Bob Proctor. There's another version that I understand is a book that just came out just for women. There's a version just for Latinos, just for Asians, etc. Whatever version, the essence is the same. They talk about the law of attraction. Embedded in it is a higher law, which is the law of vibration. There's also the law of oneness. And when you understand that we all come from the same source, we're part of the same source, we go back to the same source, oh my God, when we understand that fundamentally, we understand the degree to which we really are affecting each other every single moment. Thus, my need to influence in a way that adds value, that elevates, that nourishes, that edifies. And all of us being financially set, guess what happens? We no longer have to worry about the things that we currently worry about. What do we worry about? Money. Why? Because we've got to take care of things. We have to have shelter. We have to have food. We have to have bare necessities. We need to live and enjoy life. I'm going to take it off of this right now. But the essence here is when we understand how to accumulate the funds, protect the funds, access the funds, and leave a legacy with those funds, we are no longer concerned about the stressors that are associated with money. And stress is the number one cause of diseases. Lack of money and concern about money is the number one cause of stress. And in our Black community, the stress is unreasonably high. Yes, there's racism, there's structural issues that undermine us intentionally. But let me tell you, when we, not if we, not we hope that when we are collectively, financially in a space where we don't need a lot of these systems, oh my goodness, the systems will self-correct because they need us. And that's really the bottom line behind why I'm doing this. And why a million? Because each family typically knows 5 to 10 other families. When a million family is financially independent, they'll influence at least 5 to 10 other families. And before you know it, that wonderful cycle of growth and impact will just be magnified. And so I need each one of us, John Henry, to understand our value. And that's why I talked about, I didn't understand my value most of my life. I understood what I could do to help other people experience what I experienced, but it wasn't until I had some major barriers that I had to break through that I have a clue that I was worthy of my best. Not my best for other people, which I did well. So when people say treat people the way you want to be treated, no, I never did that. I treated people the way I wanted them to feel their best. And I was negating myself in the process. And too many of us do that. And so I now can say I'm treating people the way I want to be treated. I never did it then because it was real. I need us to recognize our inherent value, even if no one tells you that. Because when we do, oh my God, Vista is ours. Go for it, John Henry.
Wow. I don't even know where to start. I'm just amazed. You see the comments here, I'm like, Dr. Webb, you took over my show. Phenomenal. Everybody's telling me how great you look. See, we know the real in our community. Black don't crack. Okay. Now I would have never thought you was sick. When you say you retired, I said, oh man. Okay. This is what it's about. When you don't have the stress and the worries, you live good. When you get your mind right, you get out of those positions and you build this generational wealth. This is what the life looks like. You see her calm and patient and enjoying and community. This is where we want you to be at. And it starts by removing the debt, getting involved financially, not being embarrassed. Okay. This is the problem in our community.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't want the people to see my 20 credit cards. Okay. You go in these women colleges, they got $5 million worth of shoes and purses. Okay?
Let me add to that. Let me add to that, John Henry. Years ago, my credit score was so low, I didn't even know it could go to 300 and something. I had no clue what credit was. So someone needed money, I gave them money. Someone needed money, I didn't have money, I used a credit card. I just gave away my money, even money I didn't have. And then I woke up one day and I couldn't do something. I was like, oh, because credit. I said, what is credit? I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And then I learned. So it's okay not to know. It's not okay, as Maya Angelou said it much more beautifully than I am. That was, gorgeous spirit, gorgeous woman. It was something akin to when you know better, you do better. And so I learned, and I love learning. So I read some books. I talked to some of the experts. One of the major experts in California wanted to charge me a lot of money. I chose to pay that money in order to learn. Money I supposedly didn't have, but I made it. And I never have to go back there because I know what I didn't know, even though I thought I was doing the right thing. So, and then so when I had someone said, "Oh, your credit score is like 848. It's almost a perfect credit score." I was like, no, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm not where I'm going to be. That's just one indicator. Aren't you proud? I said, well, not really. I mean, nothing to be proud of. I know how to do it. You teach people how to do things. There's nothing to be proud of. You can be proud that you learn, but then once you know, you just do it. It's no big deal, right?
Most definitely. And this is why tonight's education presentation is so powerful. And this is why we're trying to do this here at both sides of the conversation to make sure that we intentionally get this information in our community. Nobody's talking about IUDL in our community. Nobody's talking about estate planning in our community. Okay. They're not doing it, right? And we're trying to get this information in our community. It doesn't matter how much real estate you have or whatever. You got to protect yourself, community. You got to make sure that you're doing the right things to invest. Now, y'all know me. I got my financial background. I understand what's going on. And Dr. Webb, one of the things that I don't like is sometimes I get these financial people, they come on, they want to sell my people all of these mutual funds, okay? And I'm saying, hey, I don't want you selling my people that, okay? When we talk about the people that I'm connected with here at both sides of the conversation, I don't want my people in mutual funds. I want them in index funded accounts, okay? I want to make sure that they are investing in the right way. And I tell people when they come over here, you got to make sure that if you're going to be working with my people in the community, okay, a lot of them are getting into the retirement pension part late in the game, all right? We want to make sure that, 70%, 75% of their investment is going into index funded accounts. Okay. We have to do that. We have to educate.
Most people have no clue that the vast majority of wealthy folks,
right.
Not all, because not all even have heard of index accounts. But Buffett, where does he have over 60% of his funds in insurance?
Yeah.
Where does he have almost 100% of his funds in index accounts?
Right. And that's why I bring it up, and I had to go through these educational presentations. I had to pay to go learn financial literacy. And I started going to these institutions. I'm saying, why you want to sell me mutual funds and everything else? What about index fund account? Then when they get their eyes get big, oh, what's this black man talking about index fund account? So I want to educate my community the right way. But one of the biggest things that, I like your switchblade approach, right? And I think we need that type of approach in our community. But we understand the challenges in our community. Okay, we also have to be real. All right, Black folks in America, especially here in the Bay Area, are struggling. Okay, and we just have to be honest. There's a lot of wealthy Black folks in the Bay Area. A lot of folks are doing well. When we talk about number per capita, our Black folks is hurting out here. So we got to make sure that
Absolutely.
when we engage with these folks, that we're getting them in the right policies, we're getting them in the right places. That's going to make the most financial sense to them. And that's why I'm big on when I bring people on my platform, when they talk about finances and they talk about insurance, I got to make sure that they are educating our people the right way, because a lot of times they don't understand. And, it's just what it is. So you have to be the right person, the right connected energy to make sure that they're getting the right information. Because a lot of times we waste our time and we sell people stuff that we know they can't afford. And that's why I get so frustrated when a lot of these people come to the community and they want to sell people these whole life policies, knowing that the premiums are going to go up. And typically our families are impacted, right? So I'm always telling people.
Yeah, and whole life is the most expensive of all of the insurance options. People sell it, and some people value it. So this is not about saying don't leverage it. I could sell it. I don't choose to. And there's a whole trajectory to the insurance process or history, I should say, from term all the way to the latest and greatest. And I don't mean latest and greatest is great for everybody, but index universal life. And the reason why I say max fund, because the structure with all the different variations of IRS codes over the history, it's literally created for people to max fund it. So when people say, oh, everyone needs to have an IUL, really? Excuse me? Even folks who can't afford a consistent $150 a month, maybe they should start someplace else. So that's why we call something called the wealth quadrant, where you start off where you can, but not necessarily with an IUL. You lock yourself in so that you can get an IUL if anything happens to you in the future health-wise. And then you can move into an IUL if that's what you so choose. And then you can move into a family bank, and then you can move into something even greater.
No, I think that's the right approach, and we have to do it
Mhm.
because too many times I was just reading the national numbers when it comes to retirement. Okay, especially in the Black and brown community,
Oh,
we are
wow. It's
working
painful.
later because we haven't invested early, and this is it's a testament to how bad our human resource is for companies. And I always tell people these people in human resources, they're not for you. Okay, they're about saving the companies and the organization. Too many of our people are retiring and they don't have enough funding. So this is why I'm like, this is important. We need to educate our people because a lot of people, they go to these nice companies and they say, hey, my company's giving me this, but they're not investing none of their money into it. And I'm trying to get people, hey, get to a point where you could put 10 to 12% of your gross income into a retirement account. Make sure that you invest in an index funded account. You have to put yours in there to match, to make sure that you're able to retire. I am tired of seeing Black folks retire going to Walmart, Target, doing security because they didn't get the right information. And this is why it's important that when you all come here and get us information to our community, that one, we act fast, community, we connect with these folks, okay? I'm not going to bring people on here because they're going to know the expectation when they come on this platform, that they're going to make sure that they're going to look out and make sure that they put our people in the right policies in the right place so that they can grow financially. All right, but we got to protect our income. We got to make sure that we have insurance, okay? We know there's an uptick in violence in our community, and too many times death is the reason why our families go into this financial ruin. Okay, the cost of a funeral is so costly to families, and grandmothers and families are putting things on the line just to have services. All right, we got to do a better job in our community to make sure that we have insurance policies. We can't live off GoFundMe's and chicken dinners to cover funeral costs. So
And
please,
that is so painful to hear, to witness. Oh my goodness. Too many loved ones have died. And I think we have a responsibility to make certain that the process of that, the passing of that loved one, however they passed, is not followed by financial ruin. And too often it is. And there's folks living in their cars and couch surfing if they're not on the street because of just that. They were bequeathed a home. They didn't understand what that meant. They didn't even know that the grandparent or the parent literally had a reverse mortgage on it, so they don't own the home. They didn't know. So this lack of sharing detailed information leaves households stricken, or the family thinks they got the insurance covered, but no one shared. There's no one knows where the policy is, so they end up not even knowing if there's insurance coverage. I mean, there's some basic things that we go through with families with whom we speak, individuals, to let them know, take nothing for granted. And whatever you need to do, sometimes it's really painful to talk about money because too many of us you have too many painful memories and we don't believe we're going to survive it. I remember a family member, I wanted to talk to her about something simple, and I won't mention her name to honor her and all that, but oh my gosh, she basically, and I thought it was simple. She says, I can't talk about that because I don't know if that I'll come out of it. I don't know if I'll live if I talk about it. I'm like, oh my God. Some things are so deep, and I get it to some degree. I don't get all of it. So, but yet we have to find a way, however we do it, to put our arms around each other, whether it's physically or metaphorically, in order to help us get to a place where we're better off. We're ensuring the next generation is better off financially than we are. And we can be better off while we're alive. We don't have to just hope that it is a better deal for those coming as we transition out of this life. So yeah, there's too many of us
well,
are
this
in challenging situations.
Well, this is why this conversation is so important. And this is why I tell people the power of digital media, because there's somebody watching tonight that is embarrassed, but they can go and watch this on YouTube and listen to the steps that you talked about to get them to financial freedom. We know the new slavery in America is debt. Okay. You look at the black debt in America, It's overwhelming. Okay. It's the new slavery. We got to break the new slave code, but it's got to be these difficult conversations. We got to continue to talk about it. We got to be open and honest. We got to be able to say no. We have to be patient. A lot of times we put ourselves in debt for 3, 4, 5 years, and we expect to get out of debt overnight. You put yourself there in 5 years, it's going to take some time to get out. But if you stick to the plan, the biggest key is sticking to the plan, having a budget. Too many times, Black folks, we don't have a budget. We just spending. We're not paying attention to our money. We got accounts that's taking money out of our account. I've done so much of this evaluation assessment of people finance, and it's terrible. People have $8,000, $9,000 in gym memberships and YouTubes and different mechanisms that's taking money out of your account. And that's why I always tell people, first thing you do is remove the direct deposit. You pay it so you understand it. Once they got your credit card information, they pulling out money out of your account. You're not even keeping up with it. Next thing you know, you find out you're so far in debt, you can't get out of it. You're trying to figure out a way, and then you become depressed.
And let me say something. It's from personal experience years ago. It's also from experience with clients now. There's some that literally, Black folks definitely, Latino folks definitely, white folks definitely, Asian folks definitely. It's independent of ethnicity. And I'm talking to Black folks right now who literally let things go to the place because they were so afraid and so in distress. They were in distress. They let the accounts go to attorneys and then have to go to court to figure out to resolve, and they wouldn't open up paper, mail that they would get or email, and so it's just a matter of letting them go through the process of grieving over what either someone did to them or they created themselves. It's okay. Go through that process, get a handle on it. You're brilliant. You're remarkable. You have resilience. You have strength that you have not yet tapped. Take the time to go through each one of those steps. No one may ever know, but you will know. And that's part of you gaining back your power. That's part of you developing your inner confidence. And I want to say something, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to empower that person, or you can empower that person. No one empowers anyone. We give information, that's humbly speaking now. We give information to people. We coach people. We guide people. We facilitate, yet people do the hard work themselves. You're empowering yourselves. So whether you have, and you think it's overwhelming, like $12,000 in debt. I was looking at LinkedIn. I had to send out a communication. And this guy, a family member, has children, I think 3 children. He killed himself because he could not pay off his $12,000 debt. He felt so demoralized. He felt less than a man. And he did a face, I don't think it was a face, it was social media presentation explaining why he was going to do it. And he did it. And he's talking to his children. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm not worthy of you, and you'll be better off without me. What? We love you, folks. Some of us will never get to meet you. We love you. And we need you to get to a healthier place sooner than later, but at your own speed. And we are here to help you. That's what it's about.
Wow. Very powerful. You heard what Dr. Webb said. We're here to walk with you, and I agree with you. We don't change people. I tell that to a lot of people when I mentor these young people. They say, John, how do you get these people to change? I said, I don't get people to change. I don't change people. People that come in meetings and tell me they change people, I always look at them sideways because I know you can't change nobody. But what we do is we plant seeds in their mind. We give them information. We give them tools. We give them thought process that they haven't thought about. Mm-hmm. And we start to reconstruct their minds into ways that they start thinking outside the box. And then they start growing. They start getting excited. And then they start moving. The transformation of information is so powerful. Community is so powerful. But you got to take the time. You got to be patient. You got to be disciplined. This process can happen for everybody. But you have to be willing to change your lifestyle. And I tell people, changing your lifestyle is about changing people, places, and things. We got to stop traveling so much.
Word.
Have the fun.
You just gave me chills. Now, here's the deal. All of us need certain stimuli. We have ears for a reason. We have the ability to smell for a reason. We have the ability to taste, to see, to feel for a reason. All those are powerful. So I don't want you to negate any aspect of you. Yet what I encourage you to do is choose what kind of information goes into your mind. Choose how you feel. Somebody may attack you. I had a guy put a gun to my head because he was pissed that I was telling him not to hurt his wife or girlfriend. And all I could do was look at him like he had lost his mind and say, hey, the best you could do. And I walked away. People on the street, this was in Albany, California, they all looked and said, what did you say to him? Because he ran. I said, well, this is men asking me. I said, did you jump in to help me? And then they just silently walked away. Oh, what I did was foolish because I could have been shot. And I have too many people who love me. But there's a fire in each one of us. And that fire comes out of me all the time when I see nonsense. And so I understand my fire. I have to, as my brothers tell me, turn it down. The reality is each one of us has a fire. When we understand our fire, oh my God, and we know how to turn it up, we can take care of business. So when nonsense is around you, you know that you can protect yourself. Leave the nonsense. When there's negative information that can harm you, figure out a way, put on earphones if you've got to be in the environment. Figure out a way to honor you out of those conditions. Because what we feel, what we see, what we taste, what we touch, what we expose ourselves to is what goes to reinforce old stuff, unless we're in a different environment, as John Henry was just saying.
Wow, very powerful. But see, I know what it really is. See, I see that glow in you. See, that's that when you know, that's our ancestors. That's the higher spirit when you got favor. See, when you have favor, community, this is what we tell you, you gotta live right. See, when you have favor, not even a gun to your head can make them pull the trigger because God have favor on your life. This has been great. I mean, these are the conversations that we like to continue to have. Community, this has been another important informational session. As they say, this was the sauce, the secret sauce. You got a little bit of it. We're going to definitely try to get Dr. Webb back to talk about some of the other stuff in depth. When we talk about estate planning, when we talk about insurance, because these are the things that we have to continue to talk about in our community. Just like we talk about mental health, we have to normalize our finances not being right. Okay, we have to normalize these conversations so that we can really make change in our community. And it starts with each one of us. But again, we have to have patience to be able to understand what's going on, who's there plotting to take your money. Because again, the folks who have all the marketing dollars, they have spent millions and millions of dollars to understand that subconscious mindset. They have programmed you to think that you need the things that you need, but you don't understand. It's just a want. It's not really a need. But when do you see it, community? When do you see it and understand that that's not what I really need? What I really need is to make sure that I'm making the right decisions with my money, that I'm not buying the things because other people have it. I'm not traveling just because I want to travel. I'm doing the things to sacrifice to make sure that financial freedom is real in my life. They've been calling me the bishop for a long time now, Dr. Webb. My team has called me Bishop Henry because I get so passionate when it comes to my community, when it comes to my people. We've been hurt for so long. I know the trauma. I know the trust issues. I understand why we don't connect. We don't have much, but we think it's everything, and we hold on, and we're not open. And I keep telling my people, be open. When people come to you, listen.
And yet, let's emphasize this. You're right. We have history. Use the discernment that you have. You know when something doesn't feel right. You know when something will serve you. Use your discernment. That is part of your superpower. I call that intuition. That's one of your mental tools. Most people think, oh, that's an emotional thing. No, intuition is actually a major cognitive tool.
Dr. Webb, I have to laugh on that, and no disrespect, but I always hear this intuition thing. But more and more people get into all kind of stuff. I said, where was your intuition at? So I have to be light of it, but it is serious.
Yes.
We have to use our gut instinct to make the right changes.
That's it.
Yeah. But with that being said, community, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up for tonight. But Dr. Webb, before you go, if there's any folks you want to shout out, your team, the people, your family, even the little puppy that we hear in the back. That's the big dog. I can't say puppy.
That is
even the dog in the back. You can go ahead and give those shout outs and those thanks. Again, community, we're going to continue to run her information on the screen. The phone number is on the bottom of the screen as well, running across. Please reach out to her. This is the thing that we're trying to do here. We're about supporting Black folks. We're about uplifting Black folks. Y'all know in my program, only thing I try to do is make sure we got Black and brown people on here. Connect with them. Feel comfortable. It's okay. That's your sister. That's your big sister, Dr. Webb. Go in there. Don't be embarrassed and just say, I got a problem. See, it's like addiction, right? The first thing you have to do is admit that you got a problem. So just go in there and say, Dr. Webb, I just got to talk to you. I got a problem. I've been in the Gucci store too much. I've been traveling too much. I done got out of control. I got all this debt. Help me out. Be open, community. Reach out to Dr. Webb. Her information is running across the screen. But Dr. Webb, I want to give you a second to close out tonight by giving any shout outs. Thank you to your team. Whoever you want to thank and appreciate and love on, this is the time to do it.
Well, I want to thank everyone that has poured into me, people I've met, people I've yet to meet, and ensuring that I'm able to be who I am at this moment in time. And I'm especially appreciative of all my loved ones, family, birth family I adopted, loved ones among friends and colleagues, here and far away. I am so deeply appreciative. I am especially appreciative of ancestors. I know that I have been protected. Great Spirit, God, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, I'm deeply appreciative that I can stand and be with integrity, my authentic self. And I encourage everyone to do the same. And for those of you who chose to listen in, I am deeply appreciative of you and John Henry and the rest of your team, and definitely Tony. I love you all. Look forward to being in partnership with you, literally, continuously, and transparently. Wado.
Wow, Ashe, thank you, Queen, for coming on here. Y'all just heard the amazing Dr. Webb. Fabulous. She's talking about I'm getting on just fabulous. She took over the show. I was trying to highlight, make sure I look good. I had a challenge tonight. Dr. Webb just beat me up, but she's glowing. And again, Dr. Webb, thank you for being here. Community. Y'all know before every show, I got to let y'all know what is real. So now's the time. My team is texting me. It is time to go. It's 8 o'clock. John, you got to give the benediction. I don't know where my cloth is. They said they was going to give me a roll. They love my benediction. So I'm going to give the benediction to the community so we can end today. But with that being said, yes, we want to say thank you to Tony for all that she does, and we're waiting for her to come back. Speedy recovery. Thank you to our both sides of the conversation team. Thank you to all the amazing community folks that continue to uplift and support the work we do and appreciate how we appreciate you all in community. It is so thankful. And it's so gracious to see so many people with gratitude. I'm on the streets today and people walking up to me like I'm a celebrity. John Henry, we love you. No, I'm just like you. I just want to make my place better. I just want to make the space better. I just want to make Black folks feel comfortable to be around other Black folks. I want to bring back the trust. I want to bring back the love, the unity, the solidarity. I just want to uplift my people. I'm here to support you and thank y'all for supporting us. But with that being said, I'm going to give y'all the benediction now, okay? The community is waiting. They love my benediction. So y'all heard Dr. Webb. Today is the day. It is a choice that you need to make. You have to make this choice to get on the pathway to economic freedom. It is not an overnight process. It takes time to get to where you need to go, but you have to connect with the right people. You have to be open. You can't be embarrassed. You have to call a spade and make sure that you're ready to go through the journey. It is a journey, and everybody must walk with somebody. Get a coach. Get somebody who's been through that experience to walk you through this financial journey. We know that in our community, the statistics show Black folks are suffering the most acute debt, the highest interest rate. It is time to make a change. When we talk about changing the narrative, this is what we do. This is how we start. We take baby steps. I tell y'all all the time, we step and stand. We step and stand, but we keep stepping into our greatness. And our greatness is making sure that our finances is in order. Everything has to be in order before we transition away. The goal is to increase, not to decrease. We have to leave generational wealth to our young people so that they get a head start. We got to give them a head start. We can't look and say, oh, well, my mom and my dad and my grandmother didn't do this for me, so I shouldn't do this for you. Our job is to make sure that our young people get that head start. It is time for us to rethink and reprogram our mind when it comes to money and finance and how we're going to do it. We got to make sure that we are not waiting for scholarships and other funding sources to help our kids through college. We have to get our college funds. We have to get the 529. We have to start investing in our young people. We can't just say we'll see when they get there if they make it. We have to believe in them young so that they believe in themselves. It starts with money. All of this is connected to money. You heard Dr. Webb. This information is not given in the schools. Why? Because the people with the power don't want you to know how to make things easy. They want you to struggle. They want you to consume. No, we want to be owners. We want to be land takers. We want to be wealth givers. We want to make sure that our community is thriving. And the way we do that is by changing our financial paradigm. We have to think different about money. We have to think about differently how we invest. And when we spend, making sure that every dollar we spend is an investment. It's an asset. It's not a liability, but you got to work. It takes time. You have to educate yourself. And that's what we have here, phenomenal folks, willing to work with you, willing to give you the information so that you can do the things that you need to do to transform your life financially. Mental health is part of it. But we also have to acknowledge that estate planning is important. You heard Dr. Webb touch on it a little bit, but we'll get her back to talk more. You need to have that will. Also, you need to have that trust, so that no one can take you to court. So probate and the lawyers don't steal all the money. Too many times in our community, our families that lost our wealth through court because we didn't have the proper paperwork in place. Don't let that be you. As you're gaining, as you're growing, as you're ascending, as Tony keeps saying, make sure you have the protections in place. Make sure you have the assurances to cover you. And make sure you have the right tax write-offs, okay? So we can play like the other folks and leverage ourselves so that we have a better life, less stress, and better thought process, and more things that we can do to impact our communities and our families. And it starts with money. So do your part tonight. Figure out your finances. Go look at your budget. Go to your ATM account statement. Look at where all your money going. Make sure that the money you're putting out is where you want it to go. If you are not having the money where you need to go, you need to pick up the phone, call Dr. Webb and say, I want to change my life. I want to make sure that I leave the right amount of money to my children, to my family if I pass away. So please help me. That's what we're looking for tonight. It's a call to action, community. Let's go. Let's get the insurance. Let's protect our families. Let's protect our babies. A lot of things are happening. We all have that appointment and we don't know when it's going to happen. Make sure you have your things in order so that your kids, your family don't have to suffer. Medically, things can happen. If you don't have that will and trust in place, somebody might have to make a medical decision. Who do you have in place to make that decision? It's things that we got to think about. We can't just walk around and think we're going to just continue to do the things we're doing. We're not going to keep watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. We're going to do what we do and make sure we connect with the people to help make sure we have our things in order. And that's what the elders told us. Keep your things in order. So we're going to do that here today. Thank you all for tuning in. This was a powerful segment. If you missed some of it, go back. You go to YouTube, check it out. See Dr. Webb. See what she was talking about. I know the football game is ending. Go get some real information. You watch people who made money. Now you go make some money. You go learn how to build your financial power so that you could be the next financial guru of our community. With that being said, that was the benediction. Y'all heard from Pastor Henry. They call me Bishop. Thank you all for tuning in. Dr. Webb, thank you again. And we're looking forward to having you back and definitely want to connect with you as we're trying to do more financial literacy programming to help our community. Excellent. And we would love to consult with you and get you to come out and help educate.
My honor.
Yes, let's do it. Well, with that being said, community, we love you all. We'll see you all for our next live segment, which is this Sunday. We are talking about Black male suicide. We got some phenomenal guests to come talk about it. Y'all know mental health is a big thing that I'm on because I believe we all need it. It is time for Black men to be vulnerable, to talk about the anxiety, the depression, the things that they go through, and why they feel the way they feel. It's going to be a great, powerful, touching, and triggering conversation. But you need to watch, because there's some young folks out there who are dealing with depression, who are dealing with anxiety. There are some people in the workforce who are losing their jobs and they feel like everything is coming to an end. This is the time to speak up, listen, and see what's going on so that you could be a better ear and a better eye for the folks in our community. We're going to get our men engaged. We're going to keep doing our part to have these difficult conversations and get our men of the community connected and talking and helping move us forward. So it should be a great Sunday conversation. We'll see you all at 4:00 this Sunday. And then for all of the folks, next Tuesday will be our next live Hidden Gem segment, where we will continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses and all those positive folks in our community that's just doing positive things to impact our community. 7 p.m. Tune in. It's going to be some great hidden gems. I've been looking at the names coming through. We got some powerful folks that's going to be coming on, and we're going to get them their roses while they're here. Not when they dead. We're going to get their roses while they're here, and that's what our hidden gem segment is about, uplifting our people and giving them their roses while they're here. So tune in next Tuesday, and we'll see you all then. With that being said, good evening. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe out there, and we'll see you all Sunday for a powerful conversation about Black male suicide. See you all. We love you. Thank you, Dr. Webb, and have a blessed evening. Thank you very much.